Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Oh, you gotta love life. Here is a sign outside of an Ohio car lot. Danger! The guard dog has a gun and refuses to take his medication. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in, call in. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and it's May Day, May 1st, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Nice people, and also some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call and get on the route service, 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Lorna. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Well, peachy. Go ahead with our pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, God bless you, and thank you so much for being on the program this morning. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day, okay?
And you have a wonderful day also.
All right. Thank you very much. What a nice lady right there. Oh, we've got a lot of things to cover, but first of all, the weather, and the weather's brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, along with Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're offering up to $1,700 rebates on qualified new Lennox Home Comfort Systems. You better check it out today at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 678-0459, along with Lennox. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, it looks like we have finally a good week in our forecast, and wouldn't you know it, today is May 1st, so that means it is May Day. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny skies is what we're looking at. It is going to be a little bit on the breezy side for today and tomorrow. Winds out of the west right around 17 miles an hour. High is 64 today. Tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, pretty much the same. Winds out of the west, 17 miles an hour. Mostly sunny skies, warming up to 64 with an overnight low of 41. Mostly sunny and 70 for Wednesday. And if my eyes are deceiving me, for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 78. And then for Friday, partly cloudy skies, high of 82. Looks like spring may have finally arrived. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
What did she say? 82? 82? I've got to look those numbers up. Surely she must have those turned. She must have meant 28. No, that's what she said. 82 on Friday. Oh, I'm going to love it. And, of course, I also say thank you to Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And you get a hold of Ramsey's today, 678-0459. We have got a really big shoe today, according to old Ed Sullivan, and a lot of interesting guests. We've got Let's see, Vicky's Country Garden. We've got Michelle Owens talking about Title IX. We've got Ed Brodo talking about politicians. Can we trust anything they say? And then Dr. James DeRule is going to be on talking about the new health care or adjustments to the new old health care or whatever. So all of that coming up this morning. Hey, good friends at Daryl's Cleaners, I want to remind you that Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew, spring cleaning, curtains, bed sheets, covers, coats, everything. Don't just pack those dirty things from winter away with all the gravy stains and all the, you pulled into the drive-in and you got barbecue sauce down the front of your winter coat and everything. No, just take them in and get them clean, get them ready for next year. All right, there you go. And they can also do your washing, too. If you just are too busy, I'm too busy, I can't wash my clothes, they can help you at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really nice people today at Daryl's. Oh, and I got to tell you, folks, that we have had some outstanding lunch bunches, as you know, over at Denny's Restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley. And they have another location, too, to serve you at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. But if you haven't tried that new list of delicious, absolutely first-class burgers, you better get in there. Along with the great breakfast schedules, dinners. It's all there at America's Diner. Great food. Fantastic service and people that really care. At Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Yep, home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. It is America's Diner. All right, somebody break the ice and give me a call here first this morning. It is May Day. May Day! Kind of a worldwide call for help, and it's also International Workers' Day. And Wheels had a great idea before the program started this morning. He said, wouldn't it be nice if we could organize a National Zeb Day? And I think if that's the case, we'll pick a date, and then we just won't show up. We'll just absolutely stay home, maybe saddle a horse, go for a ride, whatever, but just do our own thing on National Zeb Day. But I hope and pray that you have a good May Day today, and I am a little bit more than concerned that there may be some problems with the left loons in our society that want to, along with the loony groups like Black Lives Matter and the rest of them, try to do something outside of the law. And we'll see what's going to happen during this day, May Day. Well, caller, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm peachy. What's going on?
This is Cowboy Mike up on Trapper Creek. I have a request for you.
All right, Cowboy Mike, what can I do for you?
It's never been done before.
Uh-oh.
If you could do a segment on bad trails.
Bad trails?
You ever been on a horse and be up on the side of a trail, on the side of a canyon, and have to turn around?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You've been on a four-wheeler or a Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
You come to a dead end and no place to turn around.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that would be it. And there's some interesting stories. There's a lot of people on their ATVs and horses that would probably have some interesting stories to tell.
Cowboy Mike, I appreciate that. I really do. And here's what I'm going to do after the program. I know some people that are associated with various groups, horsemen's groups that trail ride, four-wheel groups and everything. I'm going to do it. And I promise you it'll be on not this week because I'm pretty booked up, but next week. How's that?
Okay. Well, I'll give you a example. I was up at Jarbidge, south of Palmetto Princess.
Yeah.
And the clouds were between you and the bottom of the canyon. The mountains were so high they touched the sky. Right around the bend, there's an outcropping of rock that's scraping their leg, about to push you offside the canyon.
Mm-hmm.
You go around the other side, and the trail went from about 6 inches wide down to 2 inches wide.
Ooh.
The horses on their tiptoes. don't know whether you're going to slide off or not.
Yeah.
It's straight down. You don't know where to jump off or walk. You jump off your horse, you're gone. So, it don't matter if you have a $200 horse or $20,000 horse. Your life depends on that horse.
Cowboy Mike, I appreciate that. Backcountry Horsemen, I know many people with that organization, and I know a lot of the trail machine group heads. I will call them, and I appreciate it. I've got to get a commercial in, Cowboy Mike, but I will put it on the air next week, I promise.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. That's a great idea. And I really respect that. Caller number 2, I'll be right with you, I promise. People calling in and saying, hey, would you do a segment on so-and-so? That is a great thing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Oh, they've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Yes, they do, and have had for over a half a century. My goodness. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. The telephone number to call, they'll have your order waiting for you on the counter. 678-0459. The best Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Good morning, Zeb. I was just thinking of something that I think is kind of funny. Do you have a radio out in your barn?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Because I was thinking, when your horse heard that weather forecast this morning, he's thinking, oh, no, he's going to be coming out here and putting that saddle on me and wanting to go for a ride.
No, I'll tell you what, it doesn't make any difference what the weather is. We rode all weekend, as a matter of fact. We roped, and I'm looking forward to some warmer temperatures. But I'll tell you what, the last couple of days, especially Saturday and then again yesterday, there was a tinge of coolness in the air yesterday.
Yes, there was, and it was not a good day to be outside working.
Yeah, but when I heard just a moment ago Gina say possibly 82 on Friday, you should have seen me smiling like a Cheshire cat. Man, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And now on the subject of the first 100 days and also May Day, I understand that is a kind of a Russian holiday, is that right? Communism or something?
Yeah, well, it was a communistic approach by International Workers' Day, and it's had many meanings. Like May Day, a distress call for help, and May Day, let's all dance around the maypole, have a cake, and everybody have a nice kind of a holiday celebrating spring. There's a bunch of derivations about that holiday.
Oh my gosh, I learned something new today. Thank goodness we got people like you that know something what's going on.
Well, and I can also thank my lovely wife because she helps pull a lot of the information off the website so I can learn more about what's going on. But, May Day actually started, let me see, it was way back in the late 19th century as a date for International Workers' Day. Yes, for communism, the socialists and the communists. But then, like I said, it's taken on a lot of derivations over the years. So there you have it. Happy Maypole Day to you.
Another thing is there's probably a lot of these news people going around with black eyes today. You know why? Because Trump poked them right in the eye the other night.
Yeah.
He told them what they were and how they operate and everything about them. And bully for him, I think he had a much better time than he did sitting there watching these stuffed shirts do this.
I agree with you.
The thing I'd like to know is, did the taxpayers pay for these idiots to get up there and make a fool of themselves?
You mean at the National Correspondence and Journalism Dinner?
I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, I don't know who funds that or who really takes care of the bill or the tab. I think the tickets are outrageous. I've heard that they're extremely expensive. Wheels, we're getting a little feedback here this morning, if you would. But right now, Keith, I tell you what, I hate to be rude to you, but I got to get a commercial break in, and I think Trump did the right thing by not showing up at that dinner. All they were going to do is just burn him over the hot coals, and so I think he did good by leaving them and saying, have a nice dinner.
Yeah, let's just have another 100 good days.
I agree with you. Thank you. I will, sir. Thank you. God bless. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you about a hunger strike that isn't. Stand by. We'll talk about it. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts at 3 locations. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley, and they've got those walker mowers. With the warmer temperatures coming, the grass is going to grow, and it's going to be beauteous outside, I'm telling you. And they've got 0% for 80, or not 84. Don't get in trouble. I'm thinking of warm temperatures. 0% for 48 months on those walker mowers at Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. I'll tell you, Juan probably fell over when I said that. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Equipment rentals and retail equipment sales. Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I also want to tell everybody that there is a group of people that absolutely want to make sure that you get back to feeling like you. And that's, of course, the great physical therapist at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nobody better than Nick Greenwell. I'm having a hard day today. The stuff's right in front of me and my eyes aren't focusing. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists helping you get back to being you and feeling like you. And they also have the only hydrotherapy pool in the area. So please, I'm going to get the name right at least. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Call them for an appointment, 678-1191. Now, caller, good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
They brought a whole bunch of pilgrims, lady.
How about that? And I have a question. Has anything been heard of or anything more been said about the rest of our prisoners that are being held over there in Iraq and Afghanistan? You know, at the time that Bergdahl was released, there was a 72-year-old man who was a civilian contractor.
Right.
That was being imprisoned, and he was writing letters. His heart was bad. His health was terribly bad. And then there was a couple and their child who were being held prisoner. They were requesting to please be released. And then about a year before Pastor Albertini was released with the other man, there was a senator that mentioned that we actually had 92 Americans that were being held prisoner over there, and you never heard another word but that one time about them.
No, and
more been done about getting any of those people released.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, rather than do it over a phone line with you. I appreciate this comment you made, and I'm going to comment on the air, and may I extend to you God's blessings for a good day. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right. That lady just brought up a very interesting point, and I think whether it's Mike Crapo or whether it's Jim Risch or Mike Simpson, Raul Labrador, or whomever, each and every one of us should absolutely demand an accounting from our senators, our congressmen, to go to the other senators and other congressmen and say, where are the Americans? Why are they being held hostage? And why aren't we bringing them home? She brought up the case about the 72-year-old contractor that was over in Iraq, Afghanistan, and with Iran's holding. His first name is Robert, and all of a sudden his last name left me. Very poor health. The family hasn't heard hardly anything about his status or what his health conditions are. And then we go all the way to all the other people that are held around the world against their will as hostages or so-called political prisoners, etc., including the young man. I saw his mother and dad on television this morning that's being held captive by the North Koreans. You know what his crime was when he was over there on a student group tour? And quite frankly, the young man should have been using much more caution. He took a poster. He took a poster that was about 8.5 by 11 inches long and put it in a suitcase as a souvenir, and the North Koreans arrested him, and he may never, ever get home. And his parents, he's the oldest child of that family, and his mom and dad were on television this morning making a plea to the Trump administration to just do all they could or more to get their son released. But you know, these pugnacious, absolutely in-your-face dictators and leaders, so-called leaders of other countries, basically saying, too bad, America. We've got your citizens, and we're not going to let them go. But on the other hand, look at the Obama administration and the Bush administration and many others that have been kind of sweeping the names of these people under the rug. Ooh, that's bad news. That's not good for politics. The American public wouldn't like that. So we'll kind of just sweep these people's names under the rug. It's quite a bit like our POW MIAs. My dear friend George Mass and I have talked about that many, many times. Really, how many were left over there, and the government, with working with other governments, did nothing because it would look bad. I can't imagine what it would be like to be the person that was sitting there in a little 8x12 cell with no hope, absolutely nobody corresponding with you, no phone, no outside word as to how your family is or what they're doing to get you out. And conversely, the family here not knowing whatever happened to their loved one. Personally, I think there should be a concentrated effort by Trump and anybody else affiliated in this administration to call that fat little pig over in North Korea and say, you know what, we've about had it with you, Kim Jong-un, and here's what we're going to do. Without bombing the living tar out of you, we want that man released immediately. We're going to have an embargo and cut off of all your trade goods, all your supplies. You're not going to have anything. Your nation's going to be ready to come up and revolt against you. No food, no services, nothing. Let our people go. And the same should be said for any other country in the world. Let our people go. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And don't give me this balderdash about, well, we're working through diplomatic channels. I heard that so many times from John Kerry, it gave me a case of the flu. Ag Express is looking for drivers, and they really would like you to call them. They're looking for retired folks that want to fill some of the full and part-time positions. They're looking for anybody that really would like a good job with benefits and vacation schedules and work with new and maintained equipment. You're home every night. My goodness, you better give them a call today. Ag Express, Dale and Paul, 438-8886. Allen in Twin Falls, 731-2495. And Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Excuse the cough. Don't forget to Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, my goodness, the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. I've got to call her and see how her great big luncheon went last week. Well, anyway, if you're noticing any problems with your hearing, you need to get a hold of her today and make an appointment for a hearing screening. Absolutely. Don't you put it off. She can help, and she will help. Call her at 312-0957. They're right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, Zeb, as much as I hate to say it, we might have to be willing to accept the fact that we'll have to bring some of our people back in caskets, but we need to get them back no matter what.
Well, I don't even want to talk about the negativity of this thing, and I'm hoping on a positive nature that America's stance in the world is now more erect instead of laying horizontal like it did with the Obama administration. And I
where I'm coming from.
I do, but I'm hoping
to make it to where they can't hide behind our citizens as hostage, would use our citizens as human shields.
Absolutely.
We need to stop negotiating with these people and just tell them they either give us our people back, or we wreck them.
Well, I'm not a goody two-shoes when it comes to making amends or hiding facts. I'm not built that way. And knowing what I do about certain hostages that have been taken hostage and are being held in prisons, I fought like crazy on the radio, and I did, Rodney, to get Pastor Abedini out. I had his wife on the air. We made public appeals all over the United States, and I'm glad he got out. But that still does not diminish the fact that there are many people that are still hostage, and I don't see a real political effort to get them out.
That's because these politicians are more worried about what will get them reelected than worried about...
I agree with that. Rodney, thank you for your call. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Hey, God bless you. Oh, and a side note, how's Russell Smith doing?
Really, I hope a lot better. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you should say that, because I'm going to talk about him coming up next hour. He's got a big birthday coming up on May 6th, and I urge everybody to send cards. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate it, man.
Okay, catch you later.
All right, buddy. It's time to give away some cookies, a dozen delicious cookies, to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, great bakery. And a great restaurant. Oh, double great. And here is the question today for the cookies. This is an easy one. All right, come on now. And I want callers to call in, and you might be the lucky winner if you are a first-time winner. Nobody cheat now. In the movie Lonesome Dove, who was the actor that played Dietz? Who was the actor that played Dietz? Give me a call. Well-known actor, starred in many, many motion pictures, and now, unfortunately, has turned into a left-wing activist. But who was the actor? What was his name? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Who was the actor in Lonesome Dove that played Dietz? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call real quick, and you might be the lucky winner of the cookies. Come on, it's not that hard. It's really easy question this morning. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, and it just did. Notice the timing, it was impeccable. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Ricky Schroeder.
No, you're not even close.
Oh, my goodness, for Dietz?
Yeah. I mean, you had one of the actors that was in the movie, but far from being Dietz.
Goodness. Okay.
Oh, thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Ricky Schroeder, by the way, played Newt. He played Newt in that movie. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Danny Glover.
And what is your name?
Todd Springer.
Todd Springer. I got to get that written down. Have you ever won before, Todd?
No, I haven't.
Well, you did. You did now, and here's the deal. You call Sophie's, and you tell them when you're going to be over there to pick up your cookies. And like I've said before on the air, if you get sugar cookies, the deal is you have to share half of them with me, okay?
Okay, no problem. I love sugar cookies. So.
Thanks, Todd. God bless you, man. Yep, Danny Glover. Danny Glover is the answer. He played Dietz in the movie, and he was killed with an Indian lance in that movie. And then he also starred in the Lethal Weapon series. And Danny took a left turn, as many actors do, and he's supporting all these liberal loon left issues. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to tell you about a hunger strike that isn't. Hey, Hey, don't forget Mini-Cash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Zach and the crew. Hello, Zach. And they've got all your metal and shingle roofing materials, and they've got the interior and the exterior doors, and they've got that luxury vinyl planking for your floors. Oh, that is good looking. And you be sure and give them a call or stop in, 878-2091. Mini-Cash Sales in Burley, and they bring you on Tuesdays Dr. History. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Good. Quickly, Zeb, this has to do with our social breakdown and things like that. Is that all right if I bring that up?
Well, you just did. Go ahead.
Well, over the weekend, I went over and was with my daughter. We were working in her yard in Jerome. And across the alley was a friend of mine's shop. And he seen me after working, and he walks out and he goes, we were talking. And we were talking about social things, and he said, his daughter works as a teacher in Jerome schools somewhere. I don't know where. And he said it's really becoming a real problem. The Hispanic students will not stand for the pledge, and they refuse to be respectful, and they're disrespectful, and they're disrupting the classes, and she has no choice. They're in there, and there's nothing she can do about it. And she would really like them to stand up and with the Pledge of Allegiance. So she tries to make a stand, and then all of the do-gooders, the ones that go along to get along, all the other teachers are, on her, attacking her. And so this is an issue. Okay, one more quick point.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, there is nothing that you could have said or done that would have made me madder over the last couple of minutes listening to you. To hear that our culture, our heritage, our pride in our country, our pride in our history is being diminished by those punks and snot-nosed kids in a classroom that will not stand for our Pledge of Allegiance or do anything to honor our great country and our flag of the United States of America. Right there is a line in the sand. You want to be here? You want to live in America? Then you dang sure better assimilate. And I'm sick and tired of hearing these garbage stories of people that are going to sit there, they're going to act up, they're going to be disrespectful. Randy, I don't know what we're going to do, but we darn sure need to do something in a hurry.
Well, this is the scary part. It's the grade school. And that's what's so scary. Okay, quickly, and then I'll say this, then I'll hang up. My daughter and I went out and ate after we worked in her yard. And she was sitting there telling me that some high school kids at Twin Falls High School had put the gender signs on the rock out there in the front. And apparently there was a little bit of a comment, like, if this is the way God made you, this is the way you are. Or something. I don't know that for a fact, but I know the gender signs were there, and they were pro, in other words, staying the way you are. And so my daughter on social media, who works in Twin, is 20 years old, and, is around. And she stated her case that, yes, that's how I feel. She agreed. And you see, she was attacked by people that she thought were her friends.
Oh, brother.
And see... But you see, everybody's so afraid to stand up and do the right thing that they all go along, because we don't want to look like we're, Neanderthals or Cro-Magnons and you old white prejudiced people. You see, this is the thing. My daughter is as loving and as caring as anybody you'll ever know. If she ever thought there was a prejudiced thought in my mind, she would tell me in no short terms how she felt. But she stood up to that, and she was attacked by people she thought were her friends. See, when we are afraid of what other people think, we end up nowhere.
That's right. You know, Randy, I know it was hard for you and emotional to talk about this, but God bless your daughter for standing up for what is right. There is a right, there is a wrong, there is a male, there is a female, there is exactly only two genders. You can come up with all these wacko, off-the-wall, sick perversion ideas as to, well, I'm this today and I'm that tomorrow, and 27 different transgender statements, etc. Baloney. There is a male and there is a female. That is how we are born with our genders. And I am not going to cross the lines. I never will on this program. And I stand up and salute your daughter for having the intestinal fortitude to look these people in the eye and say that they are wrong.
Yeah, and she never changed her, her opinion. You know how it is. When you get pressured, you buckle. And see, that's the thing. We have to stand up. We cannot allow these people to dictate what we're doing.
That's right.
Because it's already, look where we are. 10 years ago, if I told you what was going on in Twin Falls and Jerome, you would have said, oh, that's BS. And I said, now look.
Yeah, amen.
Look where we are.
Amen. And that can also be said as to what happened to me on this program back in 2007. You were listening at that time. You know I'm telling the truth. You know that the left and the so-called loony Democrats in the state of Idaho came after me for my feelings about Barack Obama. Much the same, they forgot the fact that I was supporting Condoleezza Rice, and she also was black. Do you recall that, Randy?
Oh, yeah.
They came after me with both. They came after me with both barrels, and they lost. They looked like a bunch of children that had ice cream and all the mess of chocolate on their face when we finished with them because they were wrong in what they did. And now, here's an article in the paper yesterday. I want to just read this to you quickly, and then I've got a commercial break. There was an op-ed piece in the Times News that said Twin Falls fights back. And let me just read this paragraph to you, a couple of lines, and I want you to give me your response. What we do now will create the Twin Falls for our children and grandchildren. We're building a new West. That kind of chilled me when I read that. What are your thoughts about their Twin Falls is building a new West?
Well, it sounds to me, and I haven't read it, that it sounds to me like, we're trying to fashion ourselves like the West Coast, like Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco.
Right.
And, and it's creeping in, Zan. It's creeping in.
Creep is a good word. Randy, I got to run, buddy. Thank you so much. Okay, all right, appreciate it. Don't forget our friends at Lennox, along with Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems that can keep your home feeling really nice and perfect inside no matter what's happening outside. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 and find out more about Lennox and Ramsey's. Got to have the weather right now. We're running a little late. I never have told you that story about that hunger strike. I got to get into that in just a moment. The weather is brought to you this hour by Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland and Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. And they're going to be offering sports physicals. Let's see. I think it's going to be starting this week on May 4th through the 6th. And they're a special of only $10, and that money's going to be donated back to your school's athletic program. Now, that is nice. Absolutely. The Urgent Cares, serving you minor emergencies, major care. Right now, here's the weather.
Well, it looks like we have finally a good week in our forecast, and wouldn't you know it, today is May 1st, so that means it is May Day. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny skies is what we're looking at. It is going to be a little bit on the breezy side for today and tomorrow. Winds out of the west right around 17 miles an hour. High is 64 today. Tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, pretty much the same. Winds out of the west, 17 miles an hour. Mostly sunny skies, warming up to 64 with an overnight low of 41. Mostly sunny and 70 for Wednesday. And if my eyes are deceiving me, for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 78. And then for Friday, partly cloudy skies, high of 82. Looks like spring may have finally arrived. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I love how her voice goes up. 82? I love it. Anyway, the weather brought to you this hour by the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Really great folks. Got to tell you this story real quick. This is absolutely great, the way it was handled. Yale University students, you know, the big Ivy League universities, those that walk around with their noses up in the air so that if it rains, they may drown. Anyway, the Ivy League students, you know, they're, whether it's Dartmouth or whether it's Harvard or whether it's Yale, they always think that they are on the cutting edge of knowing what's best for all of us. Well, these Yale University students organized a hunger strike. And in this hunger strike, it was to protest Donald Trump, naturally, you know, try to impeach him. He's only been in office 100 days, but they don't like him and they don't like his potential policies, etc. And they were going to protest everything with a hunger strike. But there is a catch. This is the goofiest hunger strike you ever heard in your life. They had these Yale University students, males and females, and they were all saying, we're going to go on a hunger strike. So they all sat in a great big circle and everything, and the press and the media was there. And then a couple of the students got up and walked away. And a couple of the journalists that were there covering the event, the reporters, they said, well, wait a minute, why is that person leaving and somebody else came back in his place? And these Yale University students said, well, it's a hunger strike, and when we really get hungry, we leave and we go eat, and we have another person come in and sit for the same period of time and doesn't eat anything until they get hungry and they leave. But what was the funniest thing about this whole idiotic hunger strike was that the Yale Republican Club, they heard about this hunger strike. So you know what these kids did? It was phenomenal. They went out and they made all the arrangements to have a huge barbecue right next to where these students were staging a hunger strike. Right next to them. Listen, about 20 feet away, here's this great big barbecue, you know, with all the trimmings and everything. I thought it was great. And it just showed how stupid the Democrats and the left really are. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I would love to visit with you. Oh, and I get a chance to talk about K&R Rental right now. Nice people, and they're located at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. And they're open Monday through Friday, 7 to 5:30, Saturday, 7 to 2. And no matter what you need to clean up or fix up or whatever, they've got all the equipment and the tools at K&R Rental. I'm telling you, a wide variety of tools and all the equipment, from forklifts all the way to power tools. They've got it all for you. They've been in business since '79. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, 678-3122. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Hi there.
Hi there. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Did you hear about that?
Counterpoint to that hunger strike that you never do.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't that just show you the ultimate in ridiculous waste of time from these left-leaning students? Well, I got hungry, so I had to leave, and somebody else took my place, so yeah, it's a hunger strike. Ay.
Well, that shows their convictions.
Yeah.
That shows how determined they are to push their agenda.
You know, I thought that the Republicans on campus, the Yale University Republicans, setting that barbecue up, you've got to admit that was a great idea.
It was. That was the best antidote to their BS that you could ever imagine.
You know, can you imagine, Doug, even if you were really having a real hunger strike, can you imagine the smells of the barbecue wafting over to the hunger strike students? They ain't going to be there very long, Dougie.
That's true. And it's a good thing Obama wasn't still in office, because he'd have sent the EPA in on those guys with the barbecue for polluting.
Yeah, I know. You know what? If the news was any more serious this morning, I couldn't chuckle anymore, because, I mean, I'm ready to cry. I'm mad at the Republicans because they're showing a turncoat attitude. I'm mad because they're not standing up and they're not playing with their football and pushing things through. I'm mad at them.
Well, Zeb, their true colors is coming through now. They, in the last 7 years, repeal and replace. They run up, I don't know how many bills. Obama vetoed them. They knew Obama was going to veto them, so they run them up there. Now, they get passed, and they're shaking in their boots because the people that are lobbying them don't want this to happen. That's where their money's coming from, and the Republicans don't want to do this.
Yeah, but you know something? I heard Trump a gazillion times. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm talking about. Get in the press and the media before he was elected as president and say, we're going to get rid of the funding for Planned Parenthood. They did not get rid of the funding for Planned Parenthood. They're still going to fund them. They didn't put one doggone dime towards the wall, which he said he was going to have built. I mean, I'm seeing a bunch of capitulation. Do you think I'm wrong?
What you're seeing is their true colors coming through, Zeb.
I'm bitter about this.
They don't want this to succeed because they do not want to lose the power they have over the people. They're not going back there to represent us. They're going back there to line their pockets and get wealthy off us taxpayers and control us.
When somebody tells me, you're a good example. When you tell me you're going to do something, like you're going to give a prize or prizes to the Lunch Bunch, or you tell me you're going to send me a check, or whatever the case might be, it's there. I trust you because your word is your bond and it's good. But I can't say that about anybody in either party right now. I mean, my goodness, they told me that they were going to do this, and they didn't do it, and then they end up doing the old stuff again.
Yep, it's called the political two-step.
Amen.
Did you ever see that movie?
Yes, and right now I think all of the taxpayers in this country, while they're doing the political two-step, they should be pounding and jumping and prancing on their toes, because I guarantee you, I'm fed up with the lies. I'm fed up with what they're doing against our wishes. I don't know what to do, but I'm frustrated.
Well, what we need to do is get some people to run against these Republicans that are back there.
Yeah.
It is time to clean house. It's time to send somebody back there with a backbone rather than somebody back there that wants to line their pocketbooks.
Oh, but everything's going to be all right because Twin Falls is going to create a new West. Oh, boy.
My God. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I have noticed in my years on this earth, and I'm sure you've noticed it also, that the liberals do what feels good, and the Republican usually does what does good.
Yeah, usually.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Republicans back there that should have a D behind their name instead of an R, because that's whose side they're on.
No, I disagree with you. I think a lot of Republicans should have a question mark behind their name. I got to run. Thank you.
Okay, hey, remember, take care of your seniors, guys.
All right, caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away, I promise. Hey, if you're going someplace this summer, you want to make sure you get there and come back safely with great tires to get you there. Yes, and I know that all your 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center have the tires you need, like the Terramax HT. It's an all-season tire, economically priced, absolutely a great, great tire. And the Backcountry all-terrain tire for your SUVs and your pickups. Oh, my goodness. Or the Proxys ST2, a great, great tire. I mean, all of these tires right there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center. We're doing the right Everything matters. You be sure and stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Callers, I've got exactly 1 minute. Go ahead quickly.
Okay. The EPA, 90% funded. What do you think about that? I mean, these people are the worst people in the world. They're antagonistic to all businesses, your business or whatever you have. And I don't think that our congressmen and senators would go along with that, would they?
Well, don't say that, Keith, because the proof is in the pudding. A lot of people go along just to get along, and I wish I had more time to discuss this with you, but I've got to get to the news from CBS. But I'm going to tell you, next week, Crapo's going to be on my program, and we're going to talk about this, so stay tuned. Hey, I got to run to the news. Thanks for your call, Keith. Thank you.
Thanks, good.
All right, buddy. News next from CBS, and then we'll be back with another great big hour. Don't you go away. Zeb at the Ranch, we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Oh, my goodness sakes, good morning, and look at that blue sky out there. Wow! Mayday! Mayday, May 1st. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Earlier this morning, Gina was saying on the weather forecast that Friday we might see a high of about 82. Say it again, 82. Well, that means there's going to be a lot of activities outside, outdoor concerts and family reunions and class reunions and weddings. Well, when you have these great big events planned, you got to have a potty for your party. And they've got all the porta potties at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You call them today at 734-6969 with potties for your party. Western Waste Services. There you go. We're going to have our guest in just a few moments. Vicki is going to be on the air with our Vicky's Country Gardens, but we got a lot of other things to mention here quickly. First and foremost, don't forget our friends over to Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert, the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. And they invite the public to visit the facility anytime. For tours, check them out. Absolutely nice people at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Here's the number, 436-3200. Once again, 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. We're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Really nice people. Oh, and also nice people. Yep, you got to put these people right there at the top of the list, and that's, of course, Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Heyburn. Hello, Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, and the whole crew. How are you? And right now, seriously, very seriously, it's the time to make sure that your dogs and puppies are vaccinated for the parvovirus. It is extremely highly contagious viral infection. It can kill. So please make sure your dogs and your puppies are vaccinated at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn, 678-1177. They have warm hearts for cold noses. I love that. We got some public service things here I want to mention. First of all, and bear with me on a couple of these things. I got to get through them. Russell Smith. God bless Russell Smith. His birthday is going to be Saturday, May 6th. And as you know, at the last lunch bunch, we had a great big cake, and we had the veterans there and everything. It was amazing. And again, I want to thank Robert over at Stokes and along with Pam. What a great job they did on that cake. And you talk about a delicious cake. Wow. Anyway, it's his birthday this Saturday, May 6th. Still gives you plenty of time to get your birthday wishes up to Russell at the Idaho State Veterans Home, 1957 Alvin Ricken Drive, room 70 in Pocatello. Russell Smith, and the zip code is 83201. Okay, please take care of that. Then our dear friend, oh my goodness sake, Sharon Hardy Mills, she sent us a little note about the Historical Society of Albion is going to be holding its annual meeting on May 11th next week at 7 p.m., and the meeting is going to be held in the Deb Mark building across the street from the History Center with refreshments, I love that word, and a tour of the center, and the guest speaker is going to be my old buddy, Dr. History. Yep. Dr. Ken Turner, Dr. History, will be up there next week. And our dear friend Marion Wickham has sent us a note that the Rupert United Methodist Church annual Relay for Life yard sale is going to be held on Saturday, May 13th from 8 in the morning till 2 p.m. at 605 H Street on the front lawn. Excuse me, doggone cough will not leave me alone, I'm sorry. And all the proceeds from the sale will be donated to the Relay for Life and Open Hearts Food Pantry. And for more information, call the Rupert United Methodist Church at 436-3354. There you go. And before we get into another topic this morning, I also want to remind you about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary. Joel Heward, his family, and the staff. I mean, you will not find anybody that's nicer or more community-oriented. And when there's the passing of a loved one, as I've said many, many times on this program, there is a short window of time to get everything done and for you to remember to do this and to do that. Please stop, take a deep breath, and remember, call Hanson Mortuary. They can and they will help. Absolutely. 436-5636. Always treating you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. So remember that number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Okay. In just a few minutes again, excuse me for that cough and that obnoxious little throat clearing, hay fever season is upon us. And I know a lot of you are suffering. A lot of us now, for the next little bit, will be going around carrying our handkerchiefs at a quick draw location out of our pockets and coughing and kind of going, hay fever. Anyway, enjoy the season, though. It's going to be warmer. 82 degrees on Friday. Loving it. And don't forget to our friends with Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, my goodness sakes. Yes, sirree. They are providing to you up to $1,700 in rebates on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems through Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Lennox. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. It's been that kind of a day. All right, let's go to our phone line in just a moment. I believe that we're almost all set to go with a lovely lady, Vicki at Vicky's Country Gardens. Wheels, has she got on the phone yet this morning?
Yes, she has, sir. She's ready for you.
She's all ready to go? My goodness, that lady is prepared today on this Monday, May Day. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South 600 West of Paul, and celebrating 20 years in business. Woohoo! And away we go. And she's got all the plants and the seed and the decorative rock and the bark. Well, let's just not waste a moment. Good morning to the lovely Miss Vicky. How are you?
Just
Fine, Zeb. How are you doing on this lovely, windy Monday morning?
You know, I got to tell you that this weekend, it wasn't that cold outside, but that wind had a bite to it. And Deanna and I worked outside all day Saturday, and we looked like Nanak of the North out there with our hooded sweatshirts and our vests and everything. And then yesterday we had the entire family over to rope and then some neighbors and everything. And it wasn't that doggone warm yesterday.
No, that wind's been, it just has a cold feel to it. It's supposed to be letting up now today. I think today and tomorrow are the last breezy days that we're supposed to have. I call it windy, but they call it breezy. And then it's supposed to be almost 80 by Wednesday or Thursday. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, you'll have to stop by when the temperatures reach that 80-degree mark, and we will sit out on our sun porch with my lovely bride of 45 years, and we will have an adult beverage.
There you go. We could do that.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Now, I got quite a few letters that have come in over the last week, and I'm going to paraphrase. Some of these letters are rather lengthy, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, and I'm just going to get to the gist of what they were asking about. One lady wrote a letter, and she said, with all the wind at this time of year, drying things out, should I double or triple the amount of water I put on my garden?
No, don't double up because it's only the top layer that's drying out very much. You've still got some really good deep moisture. Don't overwater because of the fact you can cause damage. Just kind of dig down a little bit in your soil, an inch or so, and see if you've got moisture down there. Then just keep your topsoil wet. That moisture will work its way down. Don't double or triple up on your water. Maybe water a little more often on your garden to keep the seeds coming up by simply, just a light sprinkle every day or something. But don't do a lot of deep, heavy watering on a daily basis.
So what you're saying is by doing the doubling or tripling because of the wind, you could end up with a Zeb Bell garden that's croaked.
Yes, you've got to be careful because of the fact that moisture goes down, and it's only the top layer that's looking dry. So I say, check underneath that top layer and see what's going on.
Okay. Now, a gentleman wrote in and lives over in the Burley area, and he had this letter. It was all about organic versus non-organic, and his question was pretty simple. He says, what does really raising an organic product or crop or garden mean, and is organic actually better than anything else?
Well, Ray, it's really hard to go and do a completely organic garden because everything, you have to really know what you're doing. You have to use totally organic seeds. You have to use organic fertilizers. You have to use organic fungicides, insecticides, everything. And it's real hard to get a lot of the organic stuff to work. And then you've got seeds and you've got stuff blowing in from other fields and that is not organic, and so consequently that can kind of affect the organicness of things when you've got stuff around you that's not grown that way. But you do have to be very intent on your fertilizers, your chemicals. Everything has to be the seeds. There can be no pesticides or anything in the soil. No. They don't even want compost from cows that have had antibiotics, and it's totally ridiculous in my opinion for that, because everybody has to have antibiotics, and the half-life of an antibiotic is a very short-lived thing. By the time it's composted, it's killed and gone. So compost is organic. I don't care what they say or what it is organic.
But let me ask you this, Vicki, and we've talked about this, I think, a year ago. And I really don't care if I step on somebody's toes because I'm blunt and that's the way I'm going to remain. But isn't this organic craze by these great big lovers of Gaia and Mother Earth, isn't it all a bunch of balderdash anyway?
Well, everybody's wanting that healthier living style, and they think that's the way of going about getting it. Everybody's positive that if we ingest any of the insecticides or, pesticides, that kind of thing, that it's going to damage, everything later on down the road. But the problem is in order to feed the world the way we're supposed to do, there's no way we can do it being organic.
Okay.
The bugs, the weeds are going to take us over, and they're going to wipe us out.
There you go.
Farmers can't do that organic thing and feed the world the way the world expects us to do.
Amen. Chapter and verse from Vicki. Very well stated. God bless you. Okay, now this letter, and you know what? I really appreciated this lady sent a letter, and it's indicative of a lot of us. And the letter was about 3 or 4 paragraphs long, but basically she said, I love to garden. I have gardened all my life, but right now it looks like I'm going to have to quit because I don't have the knees to bend down and work in the soil. Is there another way to grow a garden?
Do raised beds, and then you don't have to bend over, and you can grow. You can get the beds up off the ground, so you're not having to go down onto your knees. I know that feeling very, very well. Knees are a thing of the past in a lot of our lives, and but if you do the raised gardens to where you can just lean over and pick the weeds in that, you can get a raised garden that's up a couple of feet high off the ground, which helps immensely. Then you can still garden. You can still grow your basics. You may not be able to have as big a garden, but you can still garden and have your fresh produce and that type of thing.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about that, though, so that everybody understands. When you say a raised garden, what are you talking about? Kind of designing and fashioning maybe a table, if you will, about 3 feet off the ground and maybe about, 4 or 5 feet wide and have a little depth to the bottom of, 4, 5, 6 inches? Explain what you mean.
Okay, depending on what you're wanting to grow, but if you're going to bring it up off the ground and put it on legs, then you're probably going to have to grow your shallower crops because you're only going to have probably about an 8-inch depth that you're going to be able to sustain with weight and that type of thing. If you'll build it from the ground up to where you've got it possibly 1.5 to 2 foot high, then you could still do some potatoes in there if you wanted. You could grow some corn. You can get some of your bigger crops, but still, if it's 2.5 feet off the ground, you can bend over and handle it versus getting down on your knees and having to work with it. But you can build them up as high as you want it. You can put some up on legs and get, for your smaller crops, you can get some of them up, with an 8 to 10-inch bed on it, which will grow carrots and radishes and, beans and peas and all that kind of stuff. And if you want the deeper crops, then have one possibly off to the side that's on the ground. That's always put weed mat underneath those that are on the ground. Build them up with some wood sides and that, get a good dirt mix in there and grow in those. But it's still up off the ground high enough to where you can get to it.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be really naive when I ask you this, but in accordance with the letter and the lady saying that she has trouble with her knees, are there places where they already sell some of these off-the-ground garden boxes, if you will? I mean, or do they have to make their own?
Well, we've had them before here. I've had a couple that was up on legs and things like that. It's best you get a more substantial one if you'll have somebody that if you can just get some made out of either you can do them out of like that corrugated roofing material and get your sides put together with that and slide it into like PVC corners, that type of a thing. You can do it with redwood, like 2x10s or 2x12s, and build a good solid one that way. There's different places, different people that will build them for people, and it's pretty much just a common sense situation. Some people will use old horse troughs that they have around, just making sure you drill them and get holes in the bottom so you got drainage.
Oh, I've got old horse troughs that have got a lot of holes in them, Vicki.
You don't want too big of holes because the dirt will run out. Okay. So then you have to moss over those holes. But there's different things that you can use. You just simply want them to have good drainage and that type of thing.
Okay. Now, I've got time for one more question, and then I want you to tell us a little bit about what's going on over there. A lady wrote in, and she says, I planted my garden about 3 weeks ago. I was listening to Vicki on your radio program. Some of what I planted is coming up and looks pretty good, and the rest of it looks like a desert. Nothing's showing that it's going to pop through. What did I do wrong?
Well, it kind of depends on what you planted. Some things have to have warmer temperatures, and that cold snow that we had dropped our ground temperature back down again. So it has to have a germination. Some things will take 10 days, 2 weeks to come up. Some things pop up in 4 or 5 days. Don't give up. Depending on what it was she planted. If she planted corn, it has not been warm enough to bring corn up yet.
Okay.
And it's just way too early for that. Spuds should be showing up. Peas should be starting to show up. But it still takes kind of a situation of anywhere from 5 to 10 days to get things to pop through the ground, depending on sun, warmth, and ground temperature. And when we have these cold nights or this, that snow and that, it drops that temperature down. Seeds just don't germinate as fast. They're going to germinate more erratic when the ground's cold.
Okay. Boy, we had some good questions this week. Keep them coming, crew. You're doing good out there. And right now we're going to turn it over to Vicki, and she's going to tell us what's happening at Vicki's Country Garden.
Well, we just got in a brand new shipment of perennials that's absolutely gorgeous. We have all kinds of new and exciting things for the shade areas, for the sun areas. Absolutely gorgeous perennial order that just came in last night that we're just getting put away this morning. Got another shrub order coming in this week to get us all stocked up on shrubs and the fancy trees and the hydrangeas and the hibiscuses and all of those fun things that you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about.
Not in the least.
But we've got some really, really awesome things. Baskets are going fast for Mother's Day, so you might want to get your name on some if that's what you're planning. We've got our fountains. We've got our gift deal is wide open and running full bore right now. And we've got all the garden seeds, all the garden plants, all the garden everything. So
okay.
Come in and see us. We got everything you need.
And one thing, too, it seems like now with the temperatures warming up and looks like a lot of people are going to be out doing yard work to fix up their place, you can really help them with maybe some ideas on how to landscape and make the outside of their home a lot more, let's say a focal point for the neighborhood to stare at and go, wow, that's beautiful.
We know we can. If they want to bring in pictures of their yards, of their flower beds that they're wanting something done with, gives me an eye of, I can see where they're at, what they're doing, how it lays. We'll be more than glad to sit down and work with them on trying to help them put a landscape together, for that type of thing. If they're wanting planters done, we're getting pretty loaded up on planters right now, but if they're not in a big hurry and can give us some time, we can still get some planters done for them for the, in the month of May. Not a problem there. But yeah, we've got everything to help them with the landscape, and we'd be more than glad to help them.
All right, what are the hours? And tell everybody so that what do? Take a sleeping bag to work every day and stay there longer and longer?
I might as well. There's some nights I don't leave here till 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Just that time of year that you got to keep going. But our hours are going to be, we're going to be extending our hours from here on out. Hours are going to be from 9 to 6 now. Monday through Friday, probably 10 to 5 or so on Saturday, and we will be opening this Sunday from 11 to 4.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, you did it again. You hit it right out of the park this morning with all your knowledge. You're like the Encyclopedia Britannica with gardening over there, Miss Vicki. I'm impressed.
Well, after this many years, let's hope I know something.
Okay. God bless you, and we'll send everybody over to Vicki's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Telephone number 438-5663. Hey, we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, Zeb, that'll work.
Thank you much. Take care. You bet. I really like that lady. Vicki at Vicki's Country Gardens. What a nice, nice lady. We've got our next guest coming on the program here in a few minutes as I just tipped over my stand with all the papers and everything. I'm trying to be so organized. Deanne said, well, we better clean your office. You've got a lot of guests coming into the office this week. I don't know where to start. Don't forget Let's Ride. Now, I took my bikes over there, my four-wheelers, and I got to tell you, and I mean this, nobody is more personable. Nobody was more helpful than Tyson and the rest of the crew over at Let's Ride. Tyson, if you're listening this morning, first class, A1, absolutely. I appreciate everything you did. Got my bikes all fixed up, and we're ready to hit the hills. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And if you don't have four-wheelers and you'd like to get some, what a great place to go. Check that showroom out with all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides. Oh, my goodness, it's just chock full, including a huge accessory department and, like I already mentioned, super service department at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. And also over in that neck of the woods, I got to tell you that they are so diligent and so caring and so professional and so helpful. Who am I talking about? Well, it's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of that and much more. All you have to do is schedule an appointment so they can help you. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. They are the best. They are dedicated professionals serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You be sure and get a hold of them today. Again, pardon the cough. It's going to be that way for a while, folks, when we get into spring and all the trees budding out and everything, yours truly. Right now, we're going to visit with a lady that I really am interested in. What are you going to tell me, Wheels? She's not available?
You named it. I just tried calling and it went to her voicemail, but I will definitely keep plugging again.
Wheels, I want you to diligently, like a vulture looking at a carcass, look at that phone and get that lady on the line.
I can definitely do that. My eyes might pop out, but
okay.
I can do that.
Get to work, my friend. Thank you. I hope she's going to be there. While we are waiting, not patiently, we will also tell you that Mother's Day is coming up on what is going to be May 14th this year, right? And I've got some great businesses that are highlighting Mother's Day. And I'll take a little time right now because I haven't got another thing to do. Here, Deanna, I'm going to hand you that. See if you can reach that lady, if you would, please. And we're going to pay tribute to all of our Mother's Day sponsors. The first one is the Goody Shop at 133 West Main in Burley. Telephone number to call, 647. Write this number down, 647-0106. And treat your mom to a delicious goodie basket. Ooh, you can build your own or select one that's already done. And they got special Mother's Day mugs. Oh, it's tremendous. Always is, always will be at the Goody Shop. 133 West Main in Burley, 647-0106. And also take Mom over to the Drift Inn at 545 F Street in Rupert. Oh, May 14th, a very special day for Mom or your wife. Take her out to dinner at the Drift Inn. Oh, listen to this. They're going to have prime rib and finger steaks and shrimp and cordon bleu. Ooh, your mom is going to feel special at the Drift Inn, 545 F Street in Rupert. And last but not least, I really respect this guy, Doug's Alternator and Starter Service at 635 21st Street in Hayburn. And he says, get all your alternator and starter work done now. And Doug says, I want to wish all the moms a fabulous Mother's Day. Enjoy family time. And to those who have lost their moms, it's a day to remember the good times with your mother. Happy Mother's Day. Doug's Alternator and Starter Service. Very well stated. Wheels, did we find that lady?
She had just picked up the phone just when I tried calling her last, but I'm trying to call her back to see if I can still reach her.
Well, you better hurry then. Okay. Let's see if we can't get her back on the line. My goodness sakes, these things do happen. Deanne, I think, talked to her also. She's there at her office? Okay. All right. Let me have that back, please, then. And they're going to try to reach the lady, Michelle Owens. She's an expert in the University Title IX cases, and I'm looking forward to having her on the program this morning. Hopefully we can get that taken care of in just a very few moments. Once again, yours truly kind of stuttering and stammering here, waiting for the the word that we have her on the air. And while I'm waiting, I'll also tell you about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. People like to see me sweat. That's why I'm having worries right now. 436-3200. That's the number to call. 436-3200. The only locally owned and operated assisted living center in Mini-Cassia area. And they really have a beautiful location with a great patio in the backyard, and they hold barbecues outside in the summertime. Might be able to hold one this weekend, as a matter of fact. And they invite people to go by their facility anytime and check them out. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Do we have her on the air wheels?
I haven't had any luck, sir.
Well, let's see. Did she answer the phone a moment ago?
She did. I thought I had heard her try to say hello, and I had told her that I was with the Zeb Bell show, that she was on this morning at 9:30, but I didn't get no response back.
Okay, you didn't get any, but I appreciate that. Hopefully, maybe we can try. Deanne's going to take that, and she's going to try to reach the lady again, and we'll see what we can find out. And once again, we're trying to find out where she is, so call Greg, if you would, please, at that number, Deanne, and see what happens. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd appreciate it if you give me a jingle. This one is another little story that I'll use as kind of filling in time this morning, but it's another political correct story. Now, over in certain parts of the UK, students at different events are asked not to clap or cheer because some members of the audience may be deaf and they feel like they're excluded. This is total insanity. Audience members at an event over in London the other day were repeatedly warned that they must cease whooping and clapping to express support for a speaker because it has a quote-unquote serious impact on the accessibility of the conference. In other words, what they were asked to do is sit there and use what they call jazz hands. Now, this is nuts. Where you sit there and you wave your hands in the air like this. To me, that's very insensitive. To me, that's being rude. And to me, that's almost making fun of someone or very few people that possibly can't hear in the audience. And to think that they're telling them, oh, no more clapping, no more cheering, because there may, underline the word may, be someone in the audience that is disabled and can't hear, and they're not showing respect. What are your thoughts on that? Give me a call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, we're talking about just about anything right now.
Yeah, shoot from the hip. Use a loaded gun because, man, my guest isn't here.
I'd like to know what these young demonstrators out there expect to get from Soros and Schumer, Feinstein and Pelosi after they get through doing the dirty work for these people. What are they expecting as a reward?
You know, that's kind of a far-reaching and speculative question. I can't answer that. I don't think you can either, even though you asked the question. But when you look at Schumer and the likes of the rest of the Democrats and what they're doing, and I'm really afraid, Tony, today, I hope I'm dead wrong, and tomorrow there has been no protests where anybody's been injured or any property's been abused or burned or whatever on this May Day. But, you know, for Schumer and the rest of the Democrats, they're falling in lockstep with the rest of the liberal loons that are going to fight Trump all the way, and America is suffering because of their stupidity.
Oh, yeah, you know, we're going to be taken down from within. We won't have to worry about the enemies outside the country. This is what this younger generation doesn't understand.
I agree. I think Wheels may have confirmed my guest for this half hour, and I'm going to run back to him real quick, Tony. God bless you and Marion. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
I sure will.
All right, buddy. Wheels, did we get somebody on the line? Deanne said there was someone waiting.
I haven't, but I will go ahead and call the number again. And...
No, just keep calling the number. Don't hesitate. Just keep calling that number, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Calls are welcome again, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I would like some calls in regards to this absolute asinine political correctness. Don't clap anymore. Oh, no. Don't whoop anymore like people will go, hey, or yeah, or clap your hands. No, that is not politically correct over in certain parts of London and Great Britain now, because they say, they being the liberal loons in our society, that jazz hands, where you wave your arms in the air and don't make any sound, are much more preferable because they don't want to offend any of the hearing impaired people. Ay. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to also remind you about our friends at Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Burley. The number to call, 678-9398. You'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's. Stop in and see Zach and Brett and Alex, the whole crew. They've got everything, bearings, chains, brackets. They've got it all for you at Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Burley, 678-9398. Wheels, are we making any headway?
No, we're not. I tried the first time again, and it just went straight to her voicemail, and the second time did the same thing as well.
Okay, hold on a second.
That Cynthia is calling in.
Okay, Wheels, Cynthia Garrett is calling in right now. Answer that line and put her on the air, would you please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think Cynthia Garrett, a lady that works with Michelle Owens, is going to be coming on the air with us momentarily, and we'll get her on our program. Let me know, Wheels, is she there?
She's not. The phone hasn't rang yet.
This has turned into a Keystone Cops segment, for heaven's sakes.
I know.
Deanne, did you give her the toll-free number? And I'm sitting here on live radio, and all the audience is going, what the heck's going on over there? Well, we thought we had everything set up, and sometimes the best-laid plans do not work out. So we are, again, waiting for that woman to call. She's not calling in. The 866 number you gave her? Okay, well, she's not calling in. So evidently something's wrong. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it, Deanne. Appreciate your help. My lovely bride out in the other room trying to get things helped as far as getting someone on the air. Again, calls are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. Weather forecast is coming up, and we might as well do the weather right now while we're waiting, and it's brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I think I will jump out of a basement window during the weather, and the weather, of course, by these great folks that have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, with tax return preparation, tax planning, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more, with locations in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's the weather.
Well, it looks like we have finally a good week in our forecast, and wouldn't you know it, today is May 1st, so that means it is May Day. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny skies is what we're looking at. It is going to be a little bit on the breezy side for today and tomorrow. Winds out of the west right around 17 miles an hour. High is 64 today. Tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, pretty much the same. Winds out of the west, 17 miles an hour. Mostly sunny skies, warming up to 64 with an overnight low of 41. Mostly sunny and 70 for Wednesday. And if my eyes are deceiving me, for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 78. And then for Friday, partly cloudy skies, high of 82. Looks like spring may have finally arrived. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent forecast. And brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Tax return preparation and all the items you need to run an efficient family and business, they can help you at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, CPAs in Burley and Rupert. Let's check back over to Wheels. Wheels, I've been told that someone at the station is on that 866-927-4587 number. Is that correct? Has it been busy? They've been trying to call in, and they said the line is busy.
Yes, sir. I was just going to let you know that Mrs. Garrett is on the phone for you.
All right, very good. We're on the line right now, finally, with Cynthia Garrett. Cynthia, are you in the taking the place of Michelle Owens this morning? Is that correct?
I was asked to take the place. Apparently, they can't get a hold of her. Her phone keeps going to voicemail.
I see. Please, she was going to be on here talking about Title IX and some of the many, many problems that Title IX has caused on college campuses and universities across our country. In the time remaining, we've got about 10 minutes in this segment. Give us a kind of a thumbnail sketch as to what problems are associated right now with Title IX.
Well, what's happening is because the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights is pressuring colleges, they're tending to overcorrect, which it actually means that in an attempt to protect victims, they're actually railroading young men to show that they are being very careful about taking care of women who claim to be victims. So, for instance, they find guilty a young man who kisses his partner in the morning after a 21-month relationship and claim that that's sexual assault and expel him. Or they expel a young man who is basically passed out and given a blowjob, sorry, I should probably say oral sex, by some woman, and then when she months later, claims that he assaulted her, they expel him, even though they have text messages from her which say that she was hoping he would lie for her.
So basically, are you trying to sum up and tell me that young men on college campuses and universities today are really running a risk of dating and possibly going out with a girl for a period of time, and then all of a sudden ending the relationship, and then in turn this girl might turn around and claim charges against this young man, and he really doesn't have a leg to stand on and might be expelled from the college?
Yeah, it's a minefield out there for young men, and there's no anticipating that this is going to happen. I mean, it could be because he broke up with her. It could be because her Mormon or Muslim parents found out she had sex months later, and all of a sudden it's converted into an assault. It's a real problem for young men out there.
Okay, but now what about Title IX in itself? I've never been in favor of Title IX as far as the money situation and I think inequity of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it was originally put into effect for athletics and to give women equal opportunities. And I think that the intent was good to get women's sports funded. But at the same time, I've heard of situations where, for instance, because there wasn't a comparable women's sport, a school had to close its men's program in the same sport. And I don't think that's right. But I do think that schools ought to be giving women's sports, you know, equal money to the extent that it doesn't cause them to shut down a men's program.
Yep.
I think it had a great intent, but what happened is the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights decided that it should apply to sexual harassment. Okay, well, that's fine. Because if a professor harasses a student, then maybe it interferes with their education. But then they decided that it applied to sexual violence. And that's where I think it just got out of control. Because now they talk about how, if you even look at a girl wrong practically. I mean, honestly, sexual coercion in schools today is if a guy asks too many times for sex or tells his girlfriend he's going to break up with her if he doesn't have sex. So guys can get expelled for that now. And I do have to say, we do, at the organization that I'm with, Families Advocating for Campus Equality, we do have some women who have been accused. Sometimes by other women, sometimes by a male. But most of the students are men.
Without being graphic and giving any terms that might offend any of the audience members out there this morning, basically a young man in college today or at a major university, boy, it sounds like it's really tough to try to carry on any kind of a social life on campus for fear that you might be accused and literally thrown in jail.
Well, most of the campus issues don't result in jail, but some girls do go to the police, and what happens is you get a crazy DA who wants to make a name for himself or herself, and they go with it. And, we've had kids not only convicted, but kids that actually took a plea bargain because they were so terrified that they were going to spend time in jail, even though they did nothing wrong. So, yes, you're right. It's very dangerous. Like I said, it's a landmine. I mean, you never know when a girl's going to turn on you.
Let me ask you this, Cynthia, and I know I'm kind of making this a wider range of this topic, but I think it needs to be said that with the transgenderism problem in America today and their demands upon, well, we want to use this restroom or we want to play on this girl's team even though they're males, that to me is denigrating Title IX, because how in the world can it be fair and equitable, as we've seen in many cases across this country, where adult men that are 6'7", 6'8", are trying to play on university girls basketball teams? That is not Title IX. That should be stopped. What are we going to do to clean it up?
Well, I'm hoping the new administration takes some control over this issue. As of yet, in the first 100 days, they haven't really done anything. And in fact, Trump still needs to appoint the head of OCR. So we're hoping that he appoints somebody that's going to rein this craziness in. I agree with you, though. The bathroom thing. What about the people? What about the girls on the other side? I mean, okay, it's great to be fair to transgender students, but you're still hurting the women that are in that bathroom already. I don't understand how we only look at one side of the equation and say we have to accommodate these people to the detriment of these other people.
Well, that's my whole point, and I'm glad you brought it up in the way you did, because what's right is right and wrong is wrong, and there are only two genders, and that's male and female, and if you're born a male, that's fine, that's your gender. And you can come up with all these different goofy transgenderisms that you want, but that's the way it is. And for society, the bulk of society, to have to change their moral standards to go along with what they want, they being the transgenders, that's wrong, Cynthia.
I agree with you completely. In fact, these young men that want to use the women's bathrooms, they still physically look like men. And that's the whole point. I mean, the young women are going to be uncomfortable if somebody comes in looking like a man. If they want to get a complete sex change operation where they look exactly like a woman, I might consider it. But under the circumstances, as long as they have the male attributes, I think that's really unreasonable.
Well, and one other thing it's done, I'm going to go back to sports, is what about records in sports? Have you really thought about this, that the transgenders are going to be the ruination of all the records, like maybe so many points scored, so many rebounds, when you've got a male that's playing on a girls' basketball team? It's just absolutely going to take records and turn them upside down, especially when it gets to the Olympics and we see more transgenders try to get in the various events.
I don't know what the answer is to that. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's really raising a lot of issues that we're going to have to address, and I don't know how you make it equitable.
Well, there isn't a way. I mean, we have looked now at a society, and this Title IX and college campuses and universities with problems of perhaps lawsuits filed, female students against male students, and now the transgender issue, etc. Really, you tell me how we're going to get a broom and a dustpan and clean this mess up, because I don't have an answer.
Well, I think the first step is getting the Department of Education and its Office for Civil Rights out of states' issues. I mean, they just need to allow states to make their own choices based on their populations and what's good for their populations. Too long, D.C. has been making decisions for everybody, and D.C.'s a unique place. It's not like the rest of America, and I don't think they should be making policy decisions and controlling the whole country.
Absolutely. Cynthia, I want to say thank you. You jumped in and filled in for us this morning, and I appreciate that very much. What organization are you with again? I'm sorry, we didn't really have the proper time to give you a proper lead-in, so give us a little background on the organization that you're with.
Well, I'm with two organizations. The first is I'm co-president of Families Advocating for Campus Equality, and we offer support and advocacy for students wrongly accused or wrongly found responsible for sexual misconduct violations on campus. We have hundreds of students. In fact, we've had 80 families call us just since the beginning of the year. So this is a real problem. The second organization is Stop Abusive and Violent Environments, known as SAVE, and they focus more on the legislative end. They actually have a bill out, proposed bill, that tries to right some of the wrongs in the campus proceedings.
Very well said. Cynthia, again, God bless. Thank you so much for being on my program this morning, and I appreciate the time you put in. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. It's really a problem. Title IX has created, I think, many more problems than anything they ever tried to solve, especially now where we're looking at the transgender and the LGBT problems, etc. It's not going to go away, and I honestly don't know what the answers are. Ag Express is looking for drivers. That's right. And they're looking for drivers, full and part-time positions. Retired folks are welcome, and they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week. And whatever works best for you, and you're home every night. New and maintained equipment, vacation schedules, benefit programs. Oh, yeah. You better give them a call today. Dale and Paul at 438-8886, or Alan in Twin Falls at 731-2495. Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Well, we're just a couple of seconds away from when we're going to send it back over to Wheels for our CBS News coming up at the top of the hour. And I wanted to say that tomorrow will be the first day in years that we're not going to have Frosty Woldridge on our program. Frosty left this morning for a great big motorcycle trip way up into Alaska. Then he's going to come back in a couple of months, and he's going to get on a pedal bicycle, and he and his wife Sandy are going to make a great big loop all the way across America. So he told me the other day when I was on the phone with him that it's going to be at least October before he's going to be back home in Golden and ready to go on the program. But we wish him a very interesting trip. Godspeed to Frosty Woldridge. Let's send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away. Well, welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch for a Monday morning, May 1, May Day. And it was May Day last hour when our guest was not available by the phone as previously thought. But anyway, we got through it. Thanks, Wheels, for all your help over at the station. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, we're going to go right to the phone line. And before I jump into this puddle of water after what happened last half hour with our guest not being there, I'm just going to simply say, Wheels, is our guest waiting?
Yes, sir, he is.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I hope I say his name and pronounce it correctly. Ed Brodauer, are you there, sir? Good morning.
How are you?
I am good. Did I say your last name correctly?
It's Brodo.
Very good. Brodo, all right. You are the author of a book called In Lies We Trust, how politicians and the media are basically drawing the American public right down the drain, I'll say. What are your thoughts about how can we ever correct the media in this country and get them to give an honest appraisal like we used to see with the days of Huntley and Brinkley and Cronkite and some of the others? What are we going to have to do to change things?
What we're going to have to do as a public is to become less gullible and to be more skeptical and to challenge more of what we read and see on the news. Because it's only because the public accepts the distorted news that it continues. But I think eventually when the media gets the idea that the public is onto them and realizes that the media is not telling us the truth, then they'll have to adjust.
You know, I look at the stories every day, and the last couple of weeks, of course, and I know you wanted to comment on this, regarding University of California, Berkeley students. There was an invitation to Ann Coulter, and everything was fine and dandy, had a contractual agreement as to the date last Thursday, April 27th, and then all the things started to fall apart. And then this college used a very flimsy excuse, oh, well, it might not be safe for the students. How would you respond to that?
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense to say that it's not safe for the students. If that's the criterion that we're going to use, then we might as well just cancel all the ball games, football games, basketball games, baseball games, any place where somebody might get hurt. I mean, that's what we have police for. If people come in and try to disrupt the speaker and commit illegal acts, you have the police come in, you arrest them, you prosecute them, and you put them in jail. That's how the system works. So to say that we don't want to have a certain type of speaker come in because we're afraid that people will get hurt, that's ridiculous.
Ed, we've got so far to the left in this country out of I'll call disrespect for the moral obligations and the family values and the right and wrong attitude in this country. Honestly, with your opinion in this new book, In Lies We Trust, how politicians and the media are deceiving the American public, can we ever turn this thing around, and how?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, what's going on in campuses where they are pushing the liberal perspective, that's up to the parents. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I sent my kid to some fancy school and I'm shelling out $50,000 to $100,000 a year, and I find out that the school is trying to indoctrinate my kid into some crazy political agenda, I'd pull my kid out of there so fast you wouldn't believe it. So I think it's up to the parents to police this, and also to threaten to cut their contributions to these colleges that do this sort of thing. There's no better way than to get to them through the power of the purse.
I absolutely agree with that, but you know, when we start talking about our education system, as I don't have to tell you, Ed, you're very well versed in this, all the way from your first graders in elementary school, all the way through high school to junior colleges and universities, it seems like there is nothing but left control in the classroom. So there again, I'll ask the question, how are we going to change the indoctrination of our teachers to our students at almost all levels of education?
Well, again, I say it's up to the parents, because you're absolutely right. There is a definite bias throughout the educational system. There's a left bias, and something that particularly disturbs me is the kids are being indoctrinated now that white people are racist, and the white kids are coming home saying they're crying. They're coming home crying and saying, Mommy, Daddy, I feel like I'm a bad person. That's what they're being taught. So again, it's up to the parents to demand that the schools stop doing this, demand that they have more diversity in their faculty, and to threaten to cut contributions. Because that's how you'll hurt them, and that's how you can make a change.
But, Ed, you will agree with me that the left is very smart, and they've kind of got a playbook. The minute you start making any waves and you say, well, I don't like this, and I think we need to change that, they'll come out with their standard verse of you're a bigot and a hate monger. They've got everything practiced and rehearsed so they can downplay everybody and put them into a special box, don't they?
Well, so what? You know, I've been called a racist now for the last 8 years. When people found out I wasn't voting for Obama, they called me a racist. So, you know, you got to get used to it.
Absolutely.
Let them call you names. I don't care. I don't care if they call me names. We have to push back and stop it. And the problem with the conservatives in this country is they have been very, very passive, and they have allowed the left to get away with this. So I think it's just time to stop. It's time for the conservatives to be vocal and to demand what we want and what we need. And one of the things that we need is to have an end to this indoctrination in our schools. And I think we can get it if we stand up and ask for it.
I agree with you. Now let's change and flip to the politician side of the story a little bit in your book. I am really disillusioned, and more so this morning than I have been in the last 3 months since Trump took over. The budget, of course, he had said months ago that he was going to defund the money to Planned Parenthood. The money's still there for Planned Parenthood, but no money for the wall. It looks like the first try at revamping Obamacare is a failure. Now they're going to hurry through another bunch, another attempt at that new health care system. Ed, I am so distrustful of politicians for one big reason. I don't think they know what they're talking about, and they don't take the time to learn. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And I'll tell you what I think about Trump. Trump is facing a huge obstacle. And the obstacle is that you have people in government, especially elected representatives, who are making a living out of this and making a fortune out of it. And they don't want to change. So Trump is coming in and he's saying, I'm going to drain the swamp and we're going to change all this. Well, he's getting tremendous pushback. So I think it's unreasonable to expect that he's going to get it all done in the first 100 days. I think that was ridiculous. I think we need to give him some time to get this done. He's a very persistent individual, and I think that over time he will get it done. So let's not prejudge him and assume that because he hasn't done everything that he said he was going to do in the first 100 days, that's the end of the world.
Absolutely. I agree with you entirely. But now let me ask you this about the divisiveness within the Republican Party, the old guard versus some of the newer wave, if you will. The old guard just doesn't seem to really want to work with Trump. Is this divisiveness going to just delay to where the Democrats are going to have a heyday in denouncing everything that Trump is trying to do?
Well, my first reaction to this Freedom Caucus in the Republican Party was that they were sabotaging Trump. But then I listened to Mark Levin, and Mark Levin convinced me that they were actually performing a service in making sure that whatever changes that we have, say, to Obamacare, that it conforms with the Constitution and constitutional requirements. So I think it's just going to be a matter of Trump sitting down and negotiating, which he does well, and working it out with them. But I don't think that we should be, again, that quick to criticize the conservatives and the Republican side for wanting to see it done the right way.
Ed, your book title, In Lies We Trust, and how politicians and the media are deceiving. There's the key word right there, the American public. What do you think is the main problem today with deception? What do you think politicians are trying to hide from us? What are they categorically? Do you have a list of them, or how do you feel on the actual deception?
I have a list of them. I mean, they have tried to deceive us on every major issue. They tried to deceive us on the whole issue of Islamic terrorism, which under Obama wouldn't even allow anybody to say the term Islamic terrorism. He pretended it didn't exist, which made us that much more vulnerable to it. He lied to us about health care. We know that. The whole business of Obamacare, he lied completely about it to the American public. They have lied about climate change, which I have a whole chapter in my book on climate change. And the research that I did shows that climate change is this whole business of global warming is a hoax. And that the Obama administration tried to shove down our throats, and they're still trying to shove it down our throats. So they've been lying to us about every major issue.
Have you ever, in your study, especially on that chapter in your book about climate change, let me ask you one very obvious question that very few people ever ask. What do they want? When I say they, I'm talking about the environmentalists or those that are in favor of climate change. Really, what do they want? Do they want a degree less, or do they want this or that? They never really break it down as to what they want and how it's going to affect the United States, our living, our agriculture, etc. But really, Ed, what do they want?
Well, I explain it all in my book. It's all about a globalist, internationalist agenda. The whole thing of climate change was started by the United Nations. These unelected bureaucrats at the UN want to push for a one-world government where they're in control, and they're using climate change as a means of achieving that. So it's not really about, and they've admitted this, it's not really about global warming or climate change. It's about redistribution of resources. In other words, they want to take what you and I have, and they want to give it to third world countries. So if we were to go along with the Paris Accords and all of that, it would cripple the United States economy. And all in favor of what? In favor of solving a problem that doesn't exist in the first place. So the whole thing is a giant hoax that could have extremely dangerous effect on our country and on our way of life.
Absolutely. Ed, when you were doing the research for your book, what were the most prominent things that you uncovered that are basic lies to you and me, the taxpayers, that the government really doesn't want us to know or talk about? What are some of the things in your book that you really opened up for people and the reader to be aware of?
Well, one of the things is that in terms of immigration, the truth about Islam and the fact that the majority of Muslims believe in all of the barbaric practices that we have seen. They believe in killing apostates. They believe in killing Christians and Jews and Hindus and homosexuals. This is a Stone Age mentality. And the idea of bringing them into this country without vetting them is so dangerous to this country. But the government has lied to us about this and said, oh, they're peaceful, that Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is anything but a religion of peace. It is a political ideology that is masquerading as a religion. And that's all spelled out in my book. So that's one big, important area where we've been lied to. The other one, as I say, is global warming, where the Obama administration tried to push an agenda that would have crippled this country, which was part of his whole agenda. And in terms of just about every other major issue that we have, they've just been lying through their teeth. The whole idea of having Obamacare, what they really want is a one-payer system,
right,
where the government is in charge of health care, and the idea there is that once they get in charge of our health care, they will virtually have total control over the individual, which is contrary to the reason why this whole country was founded. This country was founded out of respect for the rights of the individual, and the left wants to take that down, and that's where they're lying to us.
You know, Ed, when you look at the television every night and you hear and see these, not all of them, but a vast majority of millennials, 18 to 34, without jobs, parading up and down the streets or wrecking windows at a college campus, whatever. What are your thoughts about the generation behind us that soon will take over? It's a little scary to think they're going to be the leadership of tomorrow.
It's frightening. It's frightening. First of all, a lot of the violence that's committed may not be committed by students. I think there are professional agitators that are coming in and doing a lot of that stuff. But the fact that the students are being indoctrinated to believe that America is a white supremacist nation that oppresses people, that we need to redistribute income and take it from people who have it and give it to people who don't have it. This sort of thing is very, very dangerous, and frankly, it worries me tremendously. I'm hoping that these kids will eventually see the light and realize that they've been indoctrinated, because if they haven't, we're in big trouble.
Ed, when people go to get your book and they close the cover at the last page, what do you want them to take home or have for a final thought after they finish your book?
Okay, that's a good question. The final thought is that you have to challenge everything. People, we have to be more skeptical. The American public has been much too gullible, accepting all kinds of nonsense from the media, from the left, from the Democratic Party. We have to learn how to think for ourselves. And the last chapter of my book is about critical thinking. It's about how to be a critical thinker. And when I talk about critical thinking, I'm talking about knowing how to tell the difference between fact and fiction. And right now, most people don't know. When they read the paper, they don't know how to distinguish between fact and fiction. So I try to teach them how to do that in the book. And I hope when they finish the book that they'll be willing and able to challenge everything that they're told.
Well, I really am going to go get a copy of the book, but I need to ask you, where is it available and where are the outlets?
Best place to get it is on Amazon. Also Barnes & Noble and bookstores. But the best place is Amazon.
Well, I'm going to get a copy of the book, and then I'm going to read it and call to see if you'll please come back and do another interview with us. But I want to wish you the very best of luck with the book, In Lies We Trust, How Politicians and the Media Are Deceiving the American Public. Ed Brodow, thank you very much for being on the program. God's blessings, and I'll give you a call in the near future.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Thank you. I was reading some excerpts of this book by Ed. He's one of the world's leading negotiation experts and a very highly respected gentleman. And I'm going to have him back on the program after I get a copy of this book, because you heard his take on the so-called climate change and global warming and the immigration issues, etc. And then also with the millennials. I really want to get a copy of that book, In Lies We Trust, How Politicians and the Media Are Deceiving the American Public. Ed Brodow, B-R-O-D-O-W, USMC retired, and he is the author. We'll get him back on this program after I have a chance to read the book. On Thursdays, we are blessed to have a segment called School Days in Cassia County, and it's sponsored by two wonderful businesses. First of all, A Child's World at 1308 Oberlin Avenue in Burley, and they've got all kinds of new spring dresses. Oh, my goodness, you can save 20% on those spring dresses, and it's a great place to go buy that baby a special baby gift. Oh, yes, you better stop in today at A Child's World, 1308 Oberlin in Burley. And also, one of the sponsors of School Days in Cassia County, Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. And life-saving colonoscopies and other surgeries, outpatient surgeries, and they can save you money. Please get a hold of them today. Call that number, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. Don't miss it. Let's see what else have we got. Time for a couple of calls. Give me a jingle. And once again, I want to remind you that our dear friend, he's my hero, Russell Smith, is having his 92nd birthday coming up this Saturday, May 6th. Excuse me for that cough again. And I know a lot of you folks brought cards and little notes to our lunch bunch a week or so ago. And we put those in a great big envelope, and we're sending them up there to Russell. And if you'd like to send Russell Smith, please, I'm asking you to do this, a real nice happy birthday wish. Send it to Russell Smith at the Idaho State Veterans Home, 1957 Alvin Ricken Drive, room 70, in Pocatello, and the zip code 83201. Once again, Idaho State Veterans Home, 1957 Alvin Ricken Drive, room 70 in Pocatello, 83201 for Russell Smith and his big birthday coming up on this Saturday. He'll be 92, and we wish him a very happy birthday. Next hour, if everything goes right and Wheels can find them by their telephone, we're going to be talking about health care. And we have a Dr. Dennis DeRule that's going to be on our program. He's the author of the book called Your Health Care Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. So we'll see what he's got to say about what the Republicans are trying to do right now to implement their own version of Obamacare. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. But first and foremost, Wheels, did you have a good weekend? I didn't ask you. Did you celebrate getting outside and enjoying the weather? And I know that you were with your mom a little bit on Saturday when you called me at home. I
was. We actually, she finally found out yesterday or the day before that Doc's does take and bake home pizzas.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had to rush down there and get a few, and I know that she wants to do an ad spot for her Pomerelle place over there.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to having her on the air, but you told me that your mom and a couple of others, including yourself, your mother had to write out a check to buy like 37 pizzas to feed you people. I mean, man, you must eat a lot of pizza.
We do. We're on my mom's side of the family, we're Italian. My mom is actually like 50% Italian since my grandma's full.
Do you know a lot of Italian food dishes?
I know some.
How about pasta bazool? Have you ever had that?
I have.
Aha!
I've also had pitas. If anybody knows what a pita is, it kind of, you take homemade bread and you put kind of like lasagna meat and sauce in there, and then you can put cottage cheese with cheese and olives and...
All right. Well, you are Italian, all right. I used to, when I was in college, Wheels, one of my roommates was an Italian from Staten Island, New York. And believe me, during the summer, I went back there to Staten Island, New York to work with my buddy Joe and a couple other buddies. And Italian food, pasta bazool. I mean, it's good. We got to take a break right now. We'll leave the food alone and we'll send it back over to Wheels right now at our main studios. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't you go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh my goodness, the wind is blowing naturally. And it does look like a better day today. Sunny skies, my goodness sakes, I love it. This weekend, maybe getting up to 82. Oh yeah. Hey, don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems, and they're offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox systems that can keep your home feeling perfect inside no matter what's happening outside. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 and find out more about Ramsey's and Lennox. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and with us is a gentleman that is a physician and National Medical Director of Acute Services for IPC Healthcare. And we're going to have him on the air talking about a new book called Your Healthcare Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. Well, I certainly hope so. Let's say good morning, and I hope I say his name correctly. Dr. Dennis DeRule, is that correct?
Almost. It's Dr. Durrell, but that's fine. It's a common mistake.
You know, I was trying so hard. I hoped I had said it right, but I make sure I won't say it wrong again. Dennis, it's nice to have you on the program this morning. Give us a little background about your book, Your Healthcare Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. It sounds like a football game, and it's 0-0 in the first quarter. What's going on?
That's exactly right. Well, I worked with the NFL on the book because the NFL is the most popular sport and franchise in America, and people understand what a fumble is, but they don't understand health care. So I use football to make health care understandable, and I use simple analogies, and certainly that's what we need today because health care has gotten so complex, it's gotten so expensive, and there's so many moving parts between the Affordable Care Act and how it's going to be changed, so that I break it down in a simple way. So I use some real simple analogies about how to make a health game plan, about how to have a head coach or a primary care doctor for your team, and about what to do when things go wrong, and about staying safe in the hospital. So in this day and age, I want to keep it simple for everyone.
All right, doctor, let me ask you this. Well, it's not really asking you anything. It's making a statement, and then please feel free. You're never going to hurt my feelings on this program, but feel free to correct me. Okay, I'll start it off by saying this. I was against Obamacare because I'm against the government getting involved in health care per se in general. I'm against anything the government tries to promote as health care. I personally think that we ought to go back to the availability. If you want it, you can buy it. If you don't have it, basically that's your problem. Am I way off in my thinking?
No, I think in general, you have the right premise, and that is let the free market drive competition and innovation. Let people buy the health insurance that they want that meets their needs. And I believe that in general, that's fine. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to that. There are some people in this country that do not have the means. And I do think we as a society need to provide for those people. And so, really, the Affordable Care Act should have just focused on people that are uninsured,
yes,
that are having issues in a safety net situation, and yet it was trying to solve a problem that was not as big as it tried to solve. And so I like a limited government approach, and I think you're right on, but the Affordable Care Act tried to change everything about health care, not just for those people that are struggling or that were uninsured.
You're 100% right, and I think we're going to get along famously on this segment. But I'll tell you what, for the 30 million or so that Obama was trying to help, he ended up tearing apart the whole doggone system. And now, even if they might have insurance, we're still looking at another 30 million that their lives have been disrupted. So really, what good did Obamacare do?
Well, you're right. You're right. Well, I would say when I look at Obamacare, and I read the law, it's 2,000 pages. Trust me, there's so much in there. There are things that hurt. There were winners and losers. Some people were hurt. Some people gained. But at the end of the day, if I had to look at what it did provide some insurance for people that didn't have it. And also, I think that it did set up innovative models of health care to be tested, like accountable care organizations, and these new models of value that I think were good, and I think they are the future of healthcare. So even Secretary Price likes those models that came out of the Affordable Care Act. So I think there were some good things in it, but it's kind of like a transplant. We need to remove the things that are bad and put something in and keep the things that are working already.
One of the things that I think is necessary for any program to be beneficial to the United States of America and private citizens is competition. And I think this is all leaning towards a single-payer policy with government control. You tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think you're wrong on that because unless you consider it a poison pill.
I mean, the Affordable Care Act, there were a lot of people on the left that wanted to just go with a public option, go with Medicare for all. And the Obama administration stopped short of that. And they said, look, no, let's keep insurance companies in. Let's bring them in and let them compete in the exchanges. So in its genesis, it really did keep competition there. Now, if you considered that they thought it would all fail and then move to single payer, then maybe you're right. But I don't think that America will ever accept single payer, one government plan. I think that we value choice too much. The problem is right now, as you know, only a third of the counties in these exchanges, or a third of them, only have one choice. Well, that's no choice at all. And in Tennessee, 16 counties have no insurer. So the Affordable Care Act was a good idea. It tried to do well, but now it's causing more harm. We have to fix the things that are wrong. And so some people say, well, we shouldn't be trying to repeal parts of it and replace. And I say, well, what are our choices? You want to just let it crumble? There are people that are hurting today.
What about the partisan politics? Okay, so Obama started Obamacare primarily and through the Democrats, and they sat in the back room with their cigars and smoke-filled rooms, and they filled in all the blanks. Now, after 8 years of Obama, thank goodness the door slammed on him, here comes the Republicans. And they were ill-prepared on their first throwing out of their version of health care. Now they're scrambling to come up with another one. My advice is, wait a minute. Stop the clock. Call an extended timeout and get this thing done right, because you're not going to be able to fumble the ball again on the second time. What are your thoughts?
Well, I couldn't agree more. And thank you for the football analogies. That's exactly right. Take the time to call the right play. And by the way, bring all the right people. You ever watch at the 2-minute warning in a critical game how you've got the quarterback there, you got the coach there on the sidelines, you got the coordinators? They're all huddling right there, right? They're all going to take the input of everyone and make the best call for that play. And that's what we need to do now. I would really like to see the Republicans come together with the Democrats, talk about the common ground, hash this out, and get something that they both can live with and move us forward, instead of this is your idea, then I resist, now I'm in, it's my idea, and I resist. And it's a cycle that has to be broken. I would love to see it. I'm going to be in Washington tomorrow meeting with the Doctor Caucus, and I hope to share that message, and I agree with you.
Do they, being the politicians, whether it was previously with the Obama camp or now with the Trump administration, do you think they have really listened to you people, those that are the doctors on the front lines? Those are the ones that are seeing the patients. Those are the ones that are seeing the medical needs and the financial problems. Do they really listen to you guys?
I don't think so. You know, that's why I'm going to Washington. I don't think they do. I think on occasion they'll pull a panel in here or there, but I'll give you an example. When you take 30 million uninsured, and you say you're going to insure them, and you give half of them Medicaid, then I don't think you've really listened, because I would ask you, in your own town, call the best specialist in your town or the best primary care, tell them you have Medicaid, and ask when you can get an appointment. I've already done that, and I talk about it in my book. The secret is it's hard with Medicaid to get an appointment. So you kind of gave someone a ticket to a game, but they go to the game and there's no seat for them. And so that's an example of where I think we could have had a better solution, and I'm not sure that people were listening to me when I've said that and others.
Dr. Dennis, let me ask you this. Pardon me for using your first name, but I try not to provide too many titles in this program. Medicaid. Don't you think that there have been so many abuses to the system that maybe it's high time that we had a review of all the cases in a file-by-file basis to find out who really is a necessity to be on the program and who really is a deadbeat and can pay for their own? Or am I being too chintzy on that thought?
Yeah, I don't think we need that right now, because I'm not sure there's a huge abuse in that. I would say at times. So what do I mean by that? There are a lot of people eligible for Medicaid that haven't even signed up. It's actually a little more the other way. But I would agree that there are some people that are on disability, and it's a difficult situation. You say, are they truly disabled? When they are, you want it, but, when they're not, why are they on the system? And some of those patients come to see us as physicians, and we have to make this very difficult judgment call. So I would say, for the most part, everyone on Medicaid that's disabled is fine, but there are some people that are on that edge. But I don't think that's the major problem with the system. I think that we just need to spend that money in a better way. I think there's a lot of waste in the system.
I totally agree with that. But now, as far as really setting up and evaluating the system, and I've had, maybe you know her, she's an excellent doctor out of Georgia, Dr. Elena George. She has been on my program many times talking about Obamacare, the pluses and the minuses. Do you think that where it stands right now this morning, on Trump Care, we'll call it, do you think they're on a winning track for the Americans that need the help, or do they need a lot more fine-tuning before they present this for a vote?
Well, I would say that they're okay right now for a vote in the House. They probably need a little tweaks and maybe a little convincing. But I think what's going to happen is the real tweaks to this bill are going to happen in the Senate. I think in the Senate you're going to see the changes that probably make it a much better bill. Is it the final answer? No. Could it help us get through the next several years with the impending problems? Yes. So I think after that, you're going to see piecemeal by one by one. You're going to see things like insurance across lines, state lines get passed. You're going to start to see some one-by-one bipartisan additions. So I think it's going to take all of those. The president calls that phase 1, 2, and 3. So I think we're okay right now, but I think there needs to be some more work, and I think it'll be done in the Senate.
When people get a hold of your book, and by the way, let me ask you that right now, your book, your healthcare playbook, who really is going to benefit from reading that book? Is it a book for everyone, all citizens? Give me a little breakdown on that.
It's a book for any citizen. It's for everyone. I wrote it that way on purpose. For example, you may say, since I use football analogies, it's not for women. I disagree with that. 45% of the NFL fans are women. Plus, women make decisions for health care in their family, and they'd like to get their significant other, their spouse, or someone interested. And if they like football, it's a great way to. So I think it's for anyone. The whole book tells you your how to get playbook, basically how to get health care, how to get insurance, how to make decisions, how to stay safe in the hospital, and when things go wrong on your medical bill, when you get that oops bill, what I call it, that out-of-pocket spending,
right,
I can talk about how to get that bill, have someone work with that bill for you. So it's for A to Z, it's your playbook, and I think it's for anyone in America because it's so healthcare is so difficult.
So again, using the football analogy, from A to Z for families, private persons, business people, it discusses healthcare in the form of whether it's a post pattern or whether it's an end sweep, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And I want to leave with one important point. 200,000 people die every year in hospitals from medical errors. You're more likely to get hurt or harmed in a hospital than an NFL game, statistically. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go to a hospital. You should. They do great things there. But you should be safe when you're there. So bring what I call an agent. Bring someone with you that has your back, that can kind of watch things so that you can stay safe. And I have an entire section of staying safe in the hospital.
Oh, you break that down just real quick. I've only got about 2.5 minutes left here. But what do you mean with an agent? When I check in and I'm going to have maybe a knee transplant or maybe a hip replaced or whatever, do we really need to have, what is it, an attorney? Is it a private citizen? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I call it an agent because in the NFL, your agent is that one person, like Jerry Maguire movie, who has your back. They're not looking out for the team or the coach or anyone. They're looking out for you. It doesn't have to be someone that's a professional. It could be when my wife was in the hospital for 9 days, I spent every night there right on the sofa bed next to her. But I'm a doctor. But it could be just your spouse. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. And, of course, now I talk about in the book there are professional advocates that will actually go with you if you'd like to hire them, and they help the team. But I think just having someone there, when a nurse comes in and they're about ready to give you a medication and you might be a little out of it, they'll say, hey, what is that medicine? And I want to make sure it matches up. And so it's just another set of what I call an eye in the sky, watching what's happening.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like a great book. Now, tell me this quickly, Doctor. Where can they get the book?
Go to Amazon right now. It just was released on Tuesday, and it's going to be a great read for the summer. So just order it on Amazon and sit down on the beach, and you can read it, or up in the mountains, and that's the best place to go. But you can follow me at Twitter, at drdurrell.com, and I have a website, drdurrell.com, if you want to ask me questions.
All right. Dr. Dennis Durrell, author of your Healthcare Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. Thank you, sir. I found you to be very enlightening, and I'll have you back after I read the book. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Dr. Dennis Durrell, and a book called Your Playbook. I got to get the exact title here again. Your Healthcare Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. Very well stated. Oh, my. We've got to get a weather forecast on here. Wheels is chomping on the bit. He says, Zeb, look at the clock. I know Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, is the sponsor of our weather forecast for this hour. Number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowmeats.com. Oh, my goodness, all those delicious breakfast sausages, and the bratwurst, and the buckboard bacon, leaner and more economical than traditional bacon, and different flavors. Oh, it's delicious. You better check it out today at Scarrow's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, it looks like we have finally a good week in our forecast, and wouldn't you know it, today is May 1st, so that means it is May Day. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny skies is what we're looking at. It is going to be a little bit on the breezy side for today and tomorrow. Winds out of the west right around 17 miles an hour. High is 64 today. Tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, pretty much the same. Winds out of the west, 17 miles an hour. Mostly sunny skies, warming up to 64 with an overnight low of 41. Mostly sunny and 70 for Wednesday. And if my eyes are deceiving me, for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 78. And then for Friday, partly cloudy skies, high of 82. Looks like spring may have finally arrived. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Man, oh man, oh man. I have been waiting patiently for days where you can sweat. I love it. Weather forecast brought to you by Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Don Scarrow and his entire crew. Oh, don't forget they got that tax return package, too. $249 plus tax for approximately 57 pounds of delicious beef and pork and chicken. Check it out at Scarrow's Meats. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Woo! Kind of a hectic day today to get things back in the saddle and riding again for a week. And so tomorrow we've got quite a few guests lined up. Let's see, what have we got so far? Oh, we're going to have a special guest, we think, coming into the studio tomorrow morning. And that's Lieutenant Governor Brad Little is going to be here, right here at the Zeb at the Ranch location. And then we've got Dr. History, and we've got quite a few other guests, too. So that should be an entertaining day, and we'll get a chance to visit with Lieutenant Governor Brad Little right here in the studio tomorrow morning. I've got time for one more phone call, so give me a jingle on the landline. And while I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you, get where you're going this summer with the best of tires. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where doing the right thing always matters. My goodness sakes, they've got all your passenger car tires. They've got all your pickup and SUV tires. They know you're headed to Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred's down in Tucumcari, New Mexico. They know where you're going, and you want to make sure that you arrive there safely and then come back home. That's why you should stop in and see the best and get the best from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
quickly, just another example of the breakdown of society in our valley. I know for a fact that in a local town here that a Hispanic person, we're assuming they're illegal, has been to church. And, that takes a special type of person to break into a church and rob it. And then just get a load of this one. The person wanted to break into a garage, so they literally, even though there was a car in the garage, they drove their vehicle into the door and creased it to the point where they're able to get in, then walk through the walk door and steal thousands of things out of the garage. And then my son lives in Jerome, and he got upwards of $6,000 worth of, he has a band, he plays all over the Northwest. He had 3 guitars and an amp, plus all the chords, robbed out of his van. See, these are the types of things that are happening to us, all of us. And you see, it's already here, Deb.
Randy,
we've got to somehow get a rope on it, a handle on it.
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
Here's what I was going to say, and I'm out of time, but this is a topic that really needs to be discussed during the first hour. If you can call me tomorrow and let's talk about this issue of not having respect for our fellow man and or his property, his or her, I'd like to talk about it further tomorrow morning. So give me a call, first hour. I'll look forward to it.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Very interesting topic, and we'll talk to him about that tomorrow. I've got to run. I'd love to run. Anyway, we got to take off right now. Tomorrow morning, 8:06, we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours. Zeb at the ranch, and thanks, Wheels, for all your help over at the station. Thank you, Deanne, here. My goodness, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning. Have a good day.